Option 3 is to go for a Nuneaton focus. Now there's 3 alternatives within this option. Option 3A would direct development to the north of the borough, in the areas of Weddington and St Nicholas and the eastern edge of Camp Hill and Galley Common. One of the main pieces of land that would be regenerated under this option would be the brownfield site just off Midland Road. This option would be attractive to commercial developers because the area is so close to the A5 and so offers good transport links to the Midlands motorway network. However, there are already existing concerns about traffic along the A5, especially with the junction with the A444 at the Royal Redgate. Another disadvantage is that developing in areas like Weddington and St Nicholas would not address the poor health, education and crime levels that exist in other parts of the borough. Option 3B would see the development take place on the east of Nuneaton. This would include the south part of Weddington and St Nicholas, as well as Whitestone and Bulkington. Many of the issues facing option 3A are still relevant in 3B. Traffic problems, however, would move towards the town centres and the B roads around the existing residential areas. So again, investment would be required to counter this. Finally, option 3C is to focus development to the west of Nuneaton. Affected by this option are the areas of Arbury and Stockingford. Developing here would open up employment opportunities to an area where jobs are needed. It would also open up an area that currently isn't accessible to the public. The option could also make use of the proposed new rail station at Bermuda, with the expanding community having access to modern, accessible public transport. However, this option would include the use of greenbelt land and could have an impact on the setting of a Grade 2 historic park and garden. Option 4 is to focus growth on Bedworth. This option would be good for the economy of Bedworth and would help revitalise the area, address deprivation and help improve efficiencies in the green corridor network in this part of the borough. There are, however, infrastructure issues that would need to be addressed, and there may be a negative impact on the Nuneaton town centre. Option 5 is different to the other options because it doesn't focus on a particular area of the borough, but instead spreads the development across the borough through lots of smaller urban extensions in areas Camp Hill, Weddington, St Nicholas, Whitestone, Bulkington, Abbey and Wenbrook and Bedworth. With this option, the individual new developments would be smaller in scale, so the impact on change would not be so big. The overall image of the borough would most likely remain the same, but many of the underlying problems would not be solved. For example, issues like poor health, education attainment, which are concentrated in certain areas, would remain because the improvements would not be targeted. This option may also add to existing infrastructure problems because the scale of the development in any one location may not be big enough to bring about improvements. Options 6, 7 and 8 are options for the development we may have to accommodate from Coventry. Option 6 looks at the land south of the M6 motorway. Development here could help improve the existing older and poor quality housing and improve choice. Links could be made to the existing employment sites at Prologis and the RICO, and new jobs could be created in areas where they are needed. On the downside, this option may mean that our town centres suffer as residents look to Coventry for their shopping needs, and the motorway will act as a barrier to integrating new communities with those north of the motorway. Option 7 looks for the sites north of the motorway to the western edge of Bede and Popular, close to Bedworth Heath and Goodyear's End. This option would be good for the economy of Bedworth and could help tackle problems of deprivation, although there would, as with other options, be a need to tackle transport issues. Option 8 looks for sites north and south of the M6 motorway, the impacts of which will be similar to those in options 6 and 7, depending on which sites are chosen within the area of the search. During this consultation, we want to know which option you prefer or which part of an option you prefer. That is because the option we take forward could be a mix of more than one option. It could even be a completely different option. If you've got a better idea, let us know. It couldn't be easier to get involved with the consultation. If you have access to the internet, you can access the Issues and Options document via the Council's website. It is an interactive document, which means you can put your comments directly onto it. You can also see what others have said. And there's a blog, which keeps you up to date with what has happened at our consultation events. If you don't have access to the internet, copies of the Issues and Options document are available to look at in council buildings, libraries and community centres throughout the borough. There is also a paper questionnaire which will make it easier for you to have your say. Don't forget, you can always contact the team direct. We'll be happy to answer any of your queries. You can phone them on 024 76 376 376 or come along to the Town Hall at Nuneaton or email them at planning.policy@nuneatonandbedworth.gov.uk. The process of putting the core strategy together is broken down into a number of stages, and as you can see, we're at the issues and options stage, which is the very start of the process. The next step is the preferred option stage, which will be informed by the responses we get to this consultation and the evidence we are continuing to collect. As the name suggests, the preferred option will set out what is the preferred way, why is it the preferred option, and why we haven't gone with the other options. You have an opportunity to give us your views on that document at the beginning of next year. We'll then prepare a final draft core strategy which will contain the policies of the council and what we'd like to see adopted. Any comments you make at this stage will be taken forward to a hearing where an independent inspector will assess whether the document is fit for purpose. The inspector will prepare a report which will be binding, so many changes identified within that report will have to be made to the core strategy before it can be finalised and adopted. We hope to be in a position to do that at the end of 2011.